there, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining me for this Friday edition of Jamaica Magazine. Put your feet up, relax, and enjoy the show. We kick things off with the day's news.
Hurricanes can strike at any time. In the event of one, be prepared to act quickly. If a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, review your home disaster response plan. Map out likely routes to evacuate if your home is at risk and confirm with relatives or friends you plan to stay with. Also, confirm the location of the nearest shelter. Check your emergency supplies and restock if necessary. Remember, disasters do happen, so be prepared.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Friday, July 6. CARICOM leaders today signed 3 instruments of agreements. These are in the areas of arrest warrant, amendments to the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and a revision to the establishment of the Caribbean Examination Council, CXC. The CARICOM arrest warrant is part of the security treaty that will see countries working together to apprehend fugitives. Amendments of the Treaty of Chaguaramas will incorporate the Council of National Security and Law Enforcement as a body to focus on crime and security. The revised agreement for the establishment of the Caribbean Examination Council seeks to update the CXC's legal structure in light of modern organizational practices, recent market developments, and current needs. Special emphasis is placed on accommodating requests from additional territories and institutions to join or otherwise participate in the CXC. In other news coming out of the 39th regular meeting of CARICOM heads, Jamaica and Guyana have reactivated their joint commission agreement, which was established in 1997. This followed a meeting with Prime Minister Andrew Holness and President of Guyana, His Excellency David Granger. The reactivation will see both countries collaborating on trade, investment, and agriculture, among other things. Foreign Affairs Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith says the partnership is about building strong relations in the region.
The importance of not only cooperating within a CARICOM context, but strengthening bilateral relations. Prime Minister has said previously, as has President Granger, that somehow within the regional context we don't always pay enough attention to the strengthening of what we can do across borders and building the relationship with each other.
For his part, President Granger says food security is important for the region.
We need to pay interest to things like food security. Guyana has the land space, and we're also looking at public security. As you know, there's a threat of trafficking in persons, threat of terrorism, money laundering. So these are some of the engagements: food security, energy security, and public security, which we discussed.
The 39th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM concludes today. The Sports Development Foundation, SDF, will be spending more than $128 million to upgrade the nation's sports facilities. Portfolio Minister Olivia Grange says this will help to sustain the country's high-level performance in sport.
The works will see improvement in the National Stadium, the layout of synthetic basketball courts at stadium courts, and upgrading of fields across the country. And it includes some of the facilities that members of Parliament have approached me in assisting in the development of those facilities.
Minister Grange was delivering her sectoral presentation in Parliament on Tuesday. She also pointed out that a separate allocation of $48 million was being granted to Independence Park Limited to fund access to sport facilities by national teams. In addition, 44 national sports associations and federations will benefit from a subvention of $189 million.
The planned development of the national sport infrastructure will also assist in our efforts to establish Jamaica as a destination for international sport.
40 schools across the country are to benefit from fire and safety equipment, courtesy of the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF. The fund has purchased 80 first aid kits, 120 fire extinguishers, 120 smoke detectors, 40 wash hand signs, and 40 emergency assembly signs. The items, costing $3 million, were handed over yesterday to the Education Ministry for distribution to primary and high schools.
Our number one priority is safety and security, and we include in that uniform group.
The project is part of JSIF's Schools Ancillary Workers Training Project. In addition to the donation, JSIF is partnering with the Jamaica Fire Brigade to train teachers and ancillary workers on fire prevention measures. The Heart Foundation of Jamaica is also on board to support training in cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, and first aid management. The first hurricane of the season has been formed. Tropical system Beryl was upgraded to a hurricane this morning after forming off the coast of Cape Verde Islands. At news time, Hurricane Beryl, which is located in the Atlantic, was not a threat to Jamaica. The Meteorological Service says it will continue to monitor the system, which is expected to remain east of the Lesser Antilles through to Sunday. Beryl is expected to quickly weaken by late Saturday and become a tropical storm or degenerate into a strong trough near the Lesser Antilles late Sunday or Monday. Jamaicans are advised to listen to subsequent newscasts to remain updated on the system. And finally, Cabinet has made a decision to resume regular press briefings from its weekly meetings. The decision was reportedly taken at this Monday's Cabinet meeting to ensure that the structures for engagement with the public and journalists are appropriate in the evolving media landscape. A statement from the Information Ministry says the Portfolio Minister, Senator Roel Reid, will resume briefings on Cabinet matters as early as next Wednesday, July 11. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Hear this, youth, older people, mature people, anyone who is listening right now, don't wait for extraordinary moments. Seize small opportunities and make them great. I've learned that through this experience. So if you have an idea, there's something that you want to do and you have not sought out an avenue, trust me, the time is now. Get it done.
Did you know that since 2014, 5 exceptional Jamaicans have been awarded the Queen of Britain's Young Leaders Award for their role in national development? Yes. Among them are 2 of the Prime Minister's 2017 Jamaica House Fellows, Aubrey Stewart and Jerome Cowans. This brainchild of the Prime Minister seeks to give exceptional Jamaicans, like Aubrey and Jerome, an opportunity to participate in national development and governance at the highest policy level. Learn more in this next feature.
We believe that young people, like myself, we are the driving force of the world, and whatever we put our minds to and whatever we put our hands to, it shall turn into gold.
They are some of Jamaica's brightest, young people with a resolve to make a change, to be the difference, to help Jamaica move forward. These are the Jamaica House Fellows 2017. The Jamaica House Fellowship Program, launched on March 8, 2017, is the brainchild of Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Its mission? To offer exceptional Jamaicans the opportunity to grow professionally while contributing to national development.
I think I owe it to the generations that are coming, that we find a way to bring in the best and the brightest into government. Because ultimately what you want to do is to create a public service that represents the best of Jamaica.
The program received an overwhelming 128 applicants.
So we had to therefore make the system as rigorous as possible so that we were fair to everyone.
So after a 5-stage selection process, 8 of the applicants, including 1 seconded from a private sector company, emerged successful for the first cohort of the 2-year program. Scholars with a track record of service to their fellow Jamaicans, selected from the best locally and in the diaspora.
It is an amazing initiative, actually. I was finishing up my degree in the United Kingdom when I saw the opportunity, and it just, I don't know how to describe it, it was just perfect. What you're doing is getting young people involved in policy making. You're somewhat taking people out of the private sector and hoping that they would come to government to contribute.
23-year-old Lavoie Cruikshank has a master's in financial economics with honors from the University of Birmingham in the UK. a program he pursued with scholarships from the UK University and Jamaica National. He now volunteers as a math tutor at his alma mater, Calabar High School, and works with several non-profit organizations, including Jamaica, as he lives out his philosophy: whether you live to be 50 or 100 makes no difference if you've made no difference in the world.
That philosophy I read when I was about 17, and I've always had an interest in government, particularly because they are the persons responsible for impacting people.
My name is Aubrey Stewart, a young man from an inner city community in Montego Bay. The culture of my community was that young men were marginalized and shunned by society because of our neighborhood, the way we looked and the way we spoke. But I stand here not as a product of that culture, but as a realization of hope.
Aubrey Stewart spoke these words as he opened his speech in introduction of former President of the United States Barack Obama during a state visit to the island in 2015. From an early age, Aubrey decided that his circumstances would not determine his destiny.
I've decided to dedicate my life to service and service to my country. So I'm just doing whatever it takes to make a difference. I'd established my own organization called the Youth Organization for Upliftment. And after establishing that group in 2009, we had received an MTV Stenline Foundation grant of $2 million. And from that grant, we were able to do HIV projects across Jamaica. And then it opened doors for many other opportunities.
Aubrey has spearheaded numerous other projects and initiatives through groups such as the Rouge On Foundation in the United States and the MTV Staying Alive Foundation in England. And now that he's a Jamaica House Fellow,
it cannot be that I'm just here to work and get paid, but what can I give that can contribute to the transition of something? So everything that as I've been here, I've kept that in mind, and as all the fellows, we have kept that in mind to say that this is what we're here to do. We're here to make that change.
Like Aubrey, our next Jamaica House Fellow, Jerome Cowens, rose from an inner city community. He's now one of the region's most recognized youth development specialists, earning him this recognition in 2015.
Jerome Cowens grew up in a tough part of Kingston. Where's Jerome? When Jerome was 12, he saw a friend gunned down. When he looked at the shooters, he said, "I realized that wasn't a life I wanted to live." They had expensive machinery, but they had nothing else. So at the ripe old age of 13, he founded a youth group to help others like him stay on the right path. And he started small with only 6 people, but they had one big thing in common, and they believed that change was possible.
The youth group Jerome started, Leaders Endeavoring for Adolescent Development, LEAD, offers personal development programs aimed at helping youth in inner city communities stay away from a life of crime and violence. The LEAD youth group has since grown from 1 to 6 chapters in Jamaica and as far away as Colombia. His outstanding community service has earned him several honors. International standouts include becoming the first Jamaican recipient of the Nelson Mandela Innovation Award in South Africa and the Young Leaders Award from the Queen of England for his work throughout the Commonwealth. He's also the recipient of the 2015 Chevening Scholarship, through which he pursued a master's degree at the University of Birmingham in the UK. Now a Jamaica House Fellow, Jerome has high praises for the program.
The mere fact that it's non-partisan, it was fair selection process, I think it's something very good for the young people of Jamaica. You're talking about reading cabinet submissions, you're talking about looking at issues. The other day I was at the airport welcoming an ambassador from Israel. No other job, I don't think, will give me these opportunities.
There's nothing ordinary in the living of each day. There's a special part for every one of us to play.
Our next Jamaica House Fellow, Sharona Forrester, is an all-rounder. Jamaica's Rhodes Scholar for 2016, member of the Jamaica National Senior Women's Football Team, Reggae Girls, and co-founder of the Jamaica Youth Chorale.
In 10 years, I see myself as a philanthropist because that is ultimately my goal. I really want to give back, especially to youth in sports and arts, because I believe that those two institutions have molded the character that I am today.
She speaks of the benefits of being on the Jamaica House Fellowship Program.
There are a lot of aspiring young leaders who don't necessarily know what goes on behind the scenes. And as I always say, knowledge is power. And exposing us to this kind of environment can only be better for the country on a whole.
The other female Jamaica House Fellow, Carol Samuda, shares similar sentiments about the program.
One of the things it does is that it creates a pipeline for young people to be interested in that area of work, whether it's in the private sector, international development, or public sector. I think it's good to be targeted and focused in trying to attract young, creative, innovative, smart talent to public service here in Jamaica.
Now a PhD candidate at George Mason University in Virginia, Carol returned to the island to join the fellowship program. She has a wealth of international working experience as an intern with the World Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, and the Organization of American States, and a member of the Caribbean Youth Summit's founding committee. From as long as he can remember, 24-year-old Andre Silburn always had a burning interest in contributing to nation building. A lawyer by profession and former adjunct law lecturer at the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, he looks forward to contributing to the drafting of policies as a Jamaica House Fellow.
I am dedicated to the task of being a civil servant where I can serve my country in the best way I can.
Always seeking to help the less fortunate, Andre is the founder of an academic bursary at his high school alma mater, Women's Boys School, and an associate of the Royal Commonwealth Society Jamaica chapter. He's a recipient of the Governor-General's Award for Excellence for St. Catherine and the UWI Open Scholarship, among other awards. Charged with leading the young team of fellows is Mark Tracy.
It's the first time, I think, for Jamaica where we see where you have young minds, and you know, they call us the brilliant minds of Jamaica, coming together with the policymakers and allowing the policymakers to take our recommendations and implement them as they go along. So within 2 months, I've seen that already.
An experienced financial economist who has worked with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the Bank of Jamaica, Mark was seconded from Jamaica Money Market Brokers to the Office of the Prime Minister, where in addition to being a Jamaica House Fellow, he's Senior Economic Advisor to Ambassador Dr. Nigel Clark.
I want to be in a situation where I see where I would have made an impact in terms of the development, the economic development of Jamaica, where we see, for example, the whole notion of the 5 in 4 being pushed to the next level, where we see real growth in the economy and seeing where policies that I would have helped in crafting come to light. And for the younger persons in the program that I lead, for them to learn and become the melting pot in terms of understanding all the different ministries and being a part of the overall thrust forward in terms of leadership in the country.
The 8th Jamaica House Fellow, Christopher Graham, now a doctoral candidate at the University of Massachusetts in Boston, will soon join the program. A policy and governance professional, Christopher has worked on several projects mapping the 20th century economic and commercial history of Jamaica and the wider Caribbean. Christopher strongly believes in giving back to the country and sees the Jamaica House Fellowship Program as a great opportunity to be exposed to public service. This first cohort of Jamaica House Fellows is highly trained in the areas of management, politics, economics, and law, but the next selection in 2019 will seek to reflect other areas of expertise.
More and more government is also about technology, ICT, information technology. So we really need to incorporate that in the selection process on the next go around to make sure that those skills are brought in.
The Jamaica House Fellowship Program, encouraging the practical involvement of outstanding young Jamaicans in the policy decision-making process at the highest levels of government.
Respecting yourself how you carry yourself is very important. You hear me, young men? We take for granted oftentimes as men that people judge you before you even open your mouth. From they look at you, they form a perception. They make up their minds about you. So the question is, when they look at you, what do they see? Understand, you might not always agree, but you can respect somebody else's view.
Respect my lad.
Respect my dad.
Yeah, man, respect.
It doesn't take anything to be respectful. And you can never tell the impact you will have just by saying, good morning, please, thank you.
Respect.
You have just heard how some of Jamaica's outstanding young men and women are helping to transform lives. Watch now as the boys of Independence City Primary School are being groomed into fine young men of tomorrow.
Boys are often depicted as rude, rough and strong, while their female counterparts, the complete opposite. But steps are being taken right here in Jamaica to change that age-old cliché. Watch now as boys from the Independence City Primary School in Portmore are taught fine dining and social graces. The tables were meticulously set. And in no time, all was ready for the special occasion.
We're having a fine dining luncheon for our boys today, and different speakers will be coming in to address our boys as it relates to fine dining and changing the culture that now exists in our country. The little crudeness and so on, we're trying to ensure that our boys be nicer to our females, to their peers, and by extension, just embracing our country and the aesthetics that we have here.
The Boys' Day event, which was held in Portmore Heart Academy Auditorium, employed practical demonstrations and instructions to teach the boys proper dining skills and social graces. The first lesson of the day was to teach them how to properly use their napkins.
And you place it in your lap.
After the boys mastered this art, they learned how to properly eat their appetizers, which consisted of a warm bowl of soup and a side of roll.
You take your roll up and you break off a bite-sized piece. With one finger, one hand, that's what you eat. You put back the rest on your tray and you eat just what you break off. With me, you never bite the roll, okay? And you drink your soup from the side of your spoon.
And before long, these boys got the hang of it. Some were so good that they were correcting their peers. After a sumptuous appetizer, the boys were treated with a mouth-watering main course meal, and boy were they pleased.
You use your left hand with the fork and your right hand with the knife. The fork alone is to go to your mouth, the knife will not go to your mouth.
So what was the reason for hosting such an unforgettable event for the young men in training?
It's really about that as much as we spend time with the girls, we want to equally develop the boys, because research suggests that the boys move at a little slower pace at this age, so we want to ensure that we give them equal opportunity.
I hope that other schools will emulate, will copy, to ensure that our boys are exposed. We don't box them in at school every day, but we showcase them and let them realize that there are different places, and when you go to different places, you behave different ways.
And the effort and hard work of the school did not go unnoticed.
We feel like it's the best day, the best boys' day, because how they prepare it, how it looks, where it's held.
Stand up
at the race.
I can become the master of my destiny.
Step up your stride, make we work like a harder. Do it like Veronica, more than a supper.
We can rise above the challenges and shine.
Was with passion in your heart. Make a plan and stop all the idling. You think I saw? We reach out the edging. I can, you can. Like our Olympians, every Jamaican can.
Emancipation and Independence Days are just around the corner, and I can't wait to indulge in the festivities that surround both days. I'm so excited to see who will be crowned the next Festival Queen winner and which of the catchy festival songs will take first place. How can I forget partaking in the festive Grand Gala celebrations at the National Stadium? Whether you realize it or not, attending these events year after year not only helps to build our pride and love for our island home Jamaica, they also help to remind us how blessed we are, that Jamaica is a place we get to live, work, raise families, and do business.
Oh, sweet Jamaica. Jamaica, you're nice enough. You make me full up of pride enough. Oh, my little country, a land of rare beauty. Jamaica, you're sweet enough. You want me sugar and spice enough. Oh, my blessed island, guided by the mighty hand. Jamaica, you're nice enough. You make me full up of pride enough. From the cockpit country to the pretty blue sea. People from near and far want indulge in your beauty. With your rich history, you're so sweet to the dandy. Should I ever go away, promise I won't stay. Cause you're my little heartbeat, oh, the land of my birth. Yes. Jamaica, you're nice enough. You make me full up of pride enough. Oh, my little country, a land of rare beauty. Jamaica, you're sweet enough. You want me sugar and spice enough. Oh, my blessed island, guided by the mighty hand. Jamaica, you're nice enough. You make me full up of pride enough. From the cockpit country to the pretty blue sea. You are a work in progress, and I believe in you. You produced a great nation who won't give up on you. So we are gonna work out the problem, cause we want to see you smile again. Black, green and gold, oh, yeah, I promise for sure, yes. Jamaica, you're nice enough. You make me full up of pride enough. Oh, my little country, a land of rare beauty. Jamaica, you're sweet enough. You want me sugar and spice enough. Oh, my blessed island, guided by the mighty hand. Jamaica, you're nice enough. You make me full up of pride enough. From the cockpit country to the pretty blue sea. Jamaica, Jamaica. Jamaica, Jamaica. Out of many we are one, so resilient and strong. I say a prayer every day, Lord sweep the troubles away. And those struggles are far from few, we won't give up on you. Black, brown or blue, oh, I promise to you.
Unfortunately, we've come to the end of today's Jamaica Magazine. But remember, you can re-watch the show on our website, jis.gov.jm. You may also send us a tweet at JIS News or email us at jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. I'm Audrey. See you next week.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.